All right, so I think I'm first one up with the B policies. And so you've got the executive summary on there. Just a recap from last meeting, we talked about how we kind of have a couple different categories of policies we're looking at. We're looking at ones that are being rescinded. Those ones are in red, most of which those are policies that then can be combined somewhere else, as opposed to living in their own standalone policy. So you'll notice some policies got a little bit longer, but that's because we carried over content from others. Then you got ones where there's just some minor edits, some grammatical changes or clarifying language. And then there's a couple where there's just a few more major revisions. So those are kind of the buckets of policies that we're looking at within the Bs. And then, Tom, do we want to go line by line or do we want to talk about just the ones where we had some major changes on?
Right. I think the first section is the ones that you're recommending to rescind.
Perfect. Yep. So the ones that are being recommended for rescind that are listed there, those are all ones that have then been combined into another policy somewhere else. So while this standalone policy or regulation is going away, its language now lives somewhere else.
So they're all in policy heaven now, and they're gone.
No, most of them have moved into um, let's see,
Other policies.
BCB, yeah, BCB, which is board officers and board officers regulation, as opposed to having it live in different places of appointed here and this, like it can all just live within board officers. It makes more sense. Yep. And then on the minor edits or significant edits, Tom will just kind of pull these up as we go. Which this one we just added the optional meeting there with the superintendent and board secretary. And then beginning at the next board meeting.
A quick comment or question about that. Does it matter if we specify next open board meeting or?
Oh, that's a good point because they could move into closed session after that open session.
Good point.
Or if there's a closed session, I guess, before the next open session. Or does it not matter? Do we just want to, swear them in?
Yeah, I think the
before
intention
at
is
the
so
beginning
that
of
we,
the.
yeah, I think the intention is so we have the ability to provide a little bit of an orientation before they attend that first meeting. So at the beginning,
Maybe
yes, I think yeah,
It is.
next open meeting would be more appropriate. So Tom, let's make that change.
And it's twofold, actually. As you'll recall, when we had the exercise, which hopefully won't happen often, where we are where the board is electing because there weren't applications for governing council. It's a little awkward to vote down someone and then swear the other person in. So that's the intent there. But yeah, open meeting makes good sense. Thank you.
I have a question just go back to the language on that last one. Flip the last screen up. And I had never noticed it before, but after I saw the date, it is. So this is all being done December 5th, 2025. That's on the revised date.
Right.
Instead of using revised date, possibly want to say date revision approved, because we didn't revise it on that date. We've revised it way before. We didn't have a board hearing that would approve it. I was just wondering.
Yeah, that's a stylistic change that would impact all policies and regulations, but that's something we can look at.
Yeah, I was okay. Just
Well, is it okay? I guess to jump onto that conversation then. Is it revised at this policy meeting, or is it revised when the board votes on it?
It's
Correct.
until once the second reading is approved, then it's officially revised.
So, yeah.
that's what I was saying. It wasn't revised then. It was approved then. Are you following me? That's why I was saying date revision approved.
But I think it was revised when the board approved it, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's
Officially.
never revised, right?
Mhm.
The revision date is when the board approved it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
all right. All right.
All right, Tom, if you want to jump over to BBFA.
I had a quick question on this one. Page 2 of 6, and I'm guessing it's because this has nothing about, this is on board and governing council. Is that why we excluded district employee here?
That's correct. There is a separate conflict of interest policy that covers employees.
No problem. I was just trying to figure out why it was done.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, just some minor edits here on board officers.
And another comment on this one. Is it necessary to specify that the president and vice president must be members of the board?
We can add that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And one more thing. Um, I'm assuming I mean, I know the board president and vice president are not compensated, but is that also something we would want to specify?
We can carry up that same language. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I have a quick question on this one. On BCB, it says, vice president assumes the role of president until another election because we had a situation like that. Do we need to specify when that election would be?
So I don't think it's required here, just because the
We
theory
didn't do
is
it.
that
Yeah, we didn't do it like this. That's why
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah. I I think this is one of those where MSBA's recommendation is to leave it broad to give you some flexibility at the local level. So it's up to the board's discretion of when they'd want to do an election as opposed to mandating it, especially if it's, let's say that, well, you need to have an election in 90 days, but in 100 days, you're going to have a reorganization meeting. So it's worth waiting the
Oh,
100 days.
I like this. I was just wondering, can we
Yeah.
get away with that? Okay.
Yeah,
Just
so
so
this
fun.
is this is the MSBA template framework. So
Okay.
they give you that local flexibility.
Okay.
Yep. And then one minor tweak here.
Why did we do? I'm not. Explain me the rationale on this one.
We never have, Dr. Cuneo, and we wanted to make it explicit that it doesn't conform to normal district procurement processes.
Okay. All right. I was trying to think because we've never done this. That's why I was wondering why are we
Yeah,
putting it now?
And this then aligns better with what we have for other services of this kind, that legal services, we follow more like the process we follow for architects or construction managers, where it's more of we're signing up for a relationship as far as the way that's works with the district, as opposed to like bidding on a specific project, because you don't really know what the scope of work is going to be.
Okay.
This is just a new layout. And some real minor edits here on agendas.
We on BDDL yet? That's the one I'm hoping. Are we there
Not
yet?
yet. So minutes, again, just a minor edit on minutes. Just matching everything up to that we use diligent now is really what we're doing on minutes. And then Dr. Cooney, you said question on requests for public records?
Yeah, flip down to reasonable. How much the cost? Or is that
That's, I think, a different item. Right?
is that that might be
The regulation or the policy?
the policy?
Yep. And you got it in there, Tom. If you just go down to the bottom, it's there.
Yeah, it was the one what it was. Yeah, you could do reasonable cost. I was just trying to find how do you define reasonable?
So, or Tom, you want to speak to that?
That's a good point, Dr. Cuneo. We may want to put in exactly the Sunshine Law statutory language there.
That's what I was.
Yeah, that's a good catch. So there, you can charge a clerical hourly there, and then you can also charge staff time.
And a research thing. We've got it all in that thing.
Yep.
But then I was trying to figure out how we're going to do reasonable.
Yep, I got you. Thank you.
Tom, do we have the cross reference to that at the bottom though, don't we, under the legal references? Yeah, so we do have that cross reference there. Maybe what we do is, do you think putting the language of the definition of reasonable in that line, or do we want to put a definition up at the top of the policy of reasonable?
All right. Yeah, if we could.
Don't we have the Sunshine Law language?
Yeah,
we do. So it's cross referenced down there, but we can just add that into that paragraph of what reasonable means.
I could see a real fight on reasonable, and we already have it by statute what we can charge for and how we can charge it for. I did not know you could charge for researching it, but that I'm glad we can.
Yeah.
I have a question about the next sentence about the board's discretion. What do you think about just if the board or superintendent determine that doing so is in the public interest? And in the interest of making public records accessible, is it something that has to wait for a board meeting, or could we allow the superintendent to make that decision?
So if the board or superintendent determines doing so, yeah, we can make that change. And then training and development. This is really just getting some nomenclature to match what it is now and also clean up some language about when training would be done. All right. And then Dr. Macklin, you're covering the Cs?
Yes. So out of the Cs here, we had 4, 2 with minor recommendations or changes, and then 2 that had some more changes. Were there any questions about the Cs before I get into these? Did anyone have questions about the Cs? No questions about the Cs?
I think I did, Dr. Macklin, but I don't know what I did with my Post-it. Y'all know I'm moving all around.
That's okay.
Lovely
That's all right.
city of
I see
Atlanta.
Director
So if it comes up, I will say I'm sorry.
Dr. Asner is shaking his head. No. So really, when we looked at the Cs, we're here ensuring that we have policy and practice aligned. And so one of the ones here was evaluation of the superintendent. And just regarding the summative evaluation here that is received every year here. And this one says that the board will conduct a regular formative and summative. And so we're just cleaning these up here for these to ensure that we are aligned to policy and practice.
I do have a comment though. I wanted to ask when this is going up for the board to vote on, if this could just be pulled out into a line item just so that everybody makes sure to
It could
give
be.
it some special attention.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. It could be. There's also a note, keep going here for me, Tom, here that speaks to here, scroll down for me a little bit, Tom. There you go. That the board, of course, will, the evaluation process does not prevent the board from addressing any additional concerns that may arise throughout the year for what those pieces mean. And that's CBG. The other one here, the evaluation of instructional administrators. And that was I don't know if you guys can't see it there, but that was just a S here in that second here, small sentence, the superintendent or designees, it said designee. So an S was added there for grammatics.
Okay.
See it so small.
Yeah. And then same thing here for evaluation, the reg here, superintendent or designees, an S, it didn't have that S there in that first column. And then the last one here was just, as we talked about, implementation and then dissemination here of policy and will be kept through the district software system here, which we know is now diligent. And that's CH. I believe that concludes the policies for today.
Yep. So, and then next meeting we'll be covering the E's and the F's. So facility related policies, then operation related policies and technology.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.